Hey guys, welcome to the Africa Miranda Show. I'm your host, Africa Miranda, and this week we're going to get your Instagram poppin'. How many of you have scrolled through the gram looking at your favorite bloggers and influencers and trying to figure out how do they get these awesome street style photos? Well, this week we're cracking the code. I have two special guests. First is digital influencer and the creator of the ultimate style destination, the Werk Place, my good friend Tiffany M. And the second is someone from my team. The photographer who's responsible for some of my most favorite images on social is here to show you how he makes it happen, and his name is Derrick Davis. So come with me, we're gonna check out a shoot that they're having right now, already in progress, and we're gonna get some tips to see how it all goes down. Let's go.
All right, one more time. Actually, just come forward and just stay still. Let me just get a couple of.
Okay, I'm jumping in. I'm jumping in. Hey, my dear. I'm like, come on, give us some love. Guys, thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for having
us. Yes, we're all about street style magic and Instagram photos this week because I'm sure you get questions all the time about your amazing photos.
Yes.
What do they want to know?
They want to know what camera am I using, who am I shooting with, like where am I taking these photos, where are the backgrounds,
exactly, all this good stuff. Well, guys, we're going to answer all of those questions today. We're hanging out in Brooklyn because, as you know, Brooklyn has all the great spots, and we're going to take you to some of our favorite spots in Williamsburg to show how Tiffany and Derrick makes the magic. I'm going to jump in a couple shots too. So let's go shoot. All right, guys, let's go. We've made it to our first destination. Now, full disclosure, I didn't really think this was going to be the first place that we stopped, but that's why I have the experts here with me today. Because the whole point this week is to get our Instagram poppin', and you need good backdrops to do this. So, Derrick, I look at this, and I honestly just saw like a brick wall with windows, but you felt like this is where we had to start. So what do you think?
I mean, the thing to keep in mind that's really important is that you don't want the background to distract subjects, right? So first and foremost, like you took time to get ready, get all dolled up. You don't want
amazing, yes.
You don't want the photo to be about the background. And so I picked this location because I feel like it's just very simple.
Okay.
There's some patterns in the brick and the windows, right? And then you have this nice white sidewalk that you can use as like a light and kind of negative space so that you can frame your subject properly for your shots. And there's a lot of different looks that you can get, especially with using bokeh and depth of field or background blur.
Right.
So, bokeh, exactly. Depth of field. Come on,
AKA portrait mode on your iPhone, just for the layman. Portrait mode on your iPhone, exactly.
And so your background's going to look nice
Okay.
and just very simple and clean so that your subject will be the star of the image.
And Tiffany, I know your passion, is of course style and fashion, but you have a background in chemical engineering.
Yes.
Does that come into play? Do you find like when you're picking locations? Because I know as soon as he said it, you were like, "Oh, I get it," and I was like, "I still don't get it." Like,
I get it. Well, engineering comes in terms of like how I do business, but then it also I can see like the repetition in the windows and why that would be like a strong background. So yeah, sometimes it comes into play, and then more so in the business side of things.
Gotcha. Which we'll talk about.
Yes.
Now I'm gonna step out. Let's get some shots of you. I'm gonna step in and get a couple on this. Since we said that this is the backdrop that we should be doing.
Let's talk about that though, because you're wearing green, and I feel like green and red are complementary colors, and so that's something also you want to pay attention to is like the color wheel and what colors complement each other.
Absolutely. Like you're not just arbitrarily like just standing somewhere and just like taking a picture. Like it seems very simple, but those little things do make a difference.
Like you're gonna pop. Yes. You're gonna look good. You're gonna be popping.
All right. Okay. I just have to say that we're at location number 2, and this was my pick. If you see my feed, you know there's nothing I love more than a colorful wall. Now, Derrick, I know you gave us the explanation on how at the last location, how it is good to have like simpler backgrounds, but Instagram loves colorful walls. And for people like me that love a good colorful wall, what are some tips when you see a wall like this to make sure, like you said, you don't get lost in all the great design?
I'm a huge fan of colorful walls. I love street art. One of the things that I see people doing a lot that could really enhance their photos if you create some space between you and the colorful wall. So again, we get some of that background blur so that the wall isn't too distracting, but you don't lose the color. You can still get some of the art without you blending into the wall.
Right, because I do see so many people, like, they're at these great walls, but they're like standing up against it. So it really does, you can't almost like tell where they end and the wall begins. So if you're watching and you see a great wall, just take a few steps forward so you're still getting the great color, but they see you. Now, another cool thing I love about this wall, and I know, Tiff, this is something that you do well, is playing with levels. This wall has like a little built-in doorway. What's like a great thing like to do in terms of like keeping photos like visually interesting?
I think it's always good to find a space where you can do a couple of different things where you can get like 4 different shots out of this this wall. You can stand here, you can walk past, you can sit down. It's you only need like literally this much space in order to get a good photo. So you don't need like a whole city or a whole, you know what I'm saying? People are like, I need to go to Barcelona to take pictures. No, you can literally get
right
a good
here
shot right
in Brooklyn.
In Brooklyn,
Now, with the workplace is all about, I feel like your signature is like patterns and great, like these great interesting moments that you bring to photos. What is like has been the inspiration for like you starting your blog?
Oh, I've always loved fashion, but I started off as an engineer. I was super technical. Someone introduced blogging to me back in like 2012 during Paris Fashion Week, and somebody's like, I love what you're wearing. You should start a fashion blog. And I said, what is a fashion blog? What is this? Because in 2012, I didn't know what it was. I went to go do some research, and I'm like, they just taking pictures of their outfits. It's not just that.
But at the time,
I'm like, I can do that. So I bought a DSLR camera and then started taking my own photos.
Okay.
Yeah, I did.
Now, that's a whole other thing. Before we get into this wall, because I was like, I cannot wait to do some photos here. That's something. Now, Derrick, not to say that we don't need you, but I have like one budget, and also like there's sometimes I'm traveling by myself. What are some tips if you have to take your own photos, or I would say if you have to hand your phone or camera to a stranger to help get a decent shot?
Let me speak to the own photos, because for the first 3 or so years of the workplace, I literally had a tripod, a remote, and a self-timer. That's how I got it done. The remote allows you to do an autofocus. And I would just set up my tripod. Arizona was a little bit safer than New York. So I didn't have to fear for somebody like running up and snatching my camera. So I literally would just set up and just take my photos.
I love it.
Yeah, that's my personal...
No,
I've
done
the
same thing. I did it in France on vacation. People were like, what is she doing? But
what's she taking photos of? Me?
Myself.
I do the same thing. I mean, even when I travel or if I'm around the city, I really try to plan out my shots. Right? So I'll have an idea of what I want. In the case where I do have to give someone my camera, I will have everything set up. I have my little focus box and I just put my face in the box. Right? And then all you got to do is press the button and it'll take. But it's the same thing. If you want to shoot yourself, you just have to plan for it. There's really or hire a photographer. There's no other options.
One of my biggest pet peeves is handing someone my phone to take a photo with me, and I get it back, and it's like my head's cut off, or there's all this space. Like, I don't know what they took a photo of. Because everybody, I feel like, just kind of like they're either too high or too low. What's a good basic get a decent photo for a stranger tip?
I think getting a good photo with the phone, just in general, make sure that the subject, that the person is close. Because
that's a good point.
The camera phones now are actually pretty decent, and a lot of them will give you some depth of field. So if you're just up against any background, it's going to look just a very flat image. Whereas if you're close to your subject, you can actually get like a portrait image.
That's right, because I feel like people stand so far back, and I'm just like, by the time you get the picture, you're this big.
But also like lighting comes into play, right? Grid lines, I think if everybody's smartphone, I think, has grid lines, and knowing
that's
it's a 2/3 rule. Literally hand somebody your phone, like make sure I'm 2/3 in this space so I have enough room around so I can do the Instagram crop or whatever.
And all that good stuff, So you got your tips. Now we're going to get into these photos and get on this wall.
Let's
do
it.
You've learned how to pick out the perfect backdrop. You've got your fashion together. You know how to hold the camera, what angles you need. There is no excuse for your Instagram not to be popping after this episode. I want to give a huge thank you to Tiffany M of the Werk Place and my photographer, Derrick Davis, for lending their expertise to help us out today. I feel like I even learned some things that I did not have. So as always, subscribe to the show here on Facebook at Africa Miranda on my fan page. And please join the Africa Miranda group. It's growing. We're having all kinds of great conversations, and you get exclusive content there first. So we will see you every Tuesday at noon here for the Africa Miranda Show. See you next week, guys.